Well, let's cross over to Abuja now, where Honorable Asake is standing by. Honorable Asake, let me come to you as the Director, Research and Strategy, Southern Kaduna Indigenous Progressive Forum. What can you tell us particularly about what happened in Southern Kaduna, again, at the backdrop of issues that deal with even the identities of these herdsmen? Who really would you say they are, and what really happened in Southern Kaduna? Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
Thank you. What happened in Southern Kaduna, as you must have known, is not what happened on Christmas Eve alone. Southern Kaduna is not just one place. Southern Kaduna constitutes more than 12 local governments of the 23 local governments of Kaduna State, mind you, because we have 3 senatorial districts in Kaduna State, and we have the Southern Kaduna Senatorial District that is called Zone 3, which constitutes 8 local governments, and that is where basically the people that are referred to as Southern Kaduna people, because of their ethnicity, because of their religion, which is different from that of the House of Fulani, reside. And we also have Chukun local government and Kajuru local government, 2 local governments in the Central Senatorial District that basically has the people of Southern Kaduna also, the major tribes there, the Kadara people and the Bagi people, are the occupiers of those local governments. So making 10, then we have Lere local government presently, which was Saminaka local government, which was part of the initial 3 local governments that constitute the old Southern Kaduna Senatorial District. And we have Kaduna Central itself. So the Southern Kaduna, when you talk of Southern Kaduna, I want to just correct that it is not just a small area or a town. Southern Kaduna is a very large area, is bigger than many states in this federation. Now, if you ask about what has been happening, I don't know, there are so many crises that have taken place. We have the first crisis, religious crisis that took place. The first one took place in 1981 in Kaswamagani, a town very close to Kaduna. And it was between, like I said, Kaswamagani is in Chukun local government, and that crisis was between the ethnic nationalities, the Kadara people, and the House of Fulani settlers there. And that crisis was basically between the 2 communities. And then in 1987, a crisis erupted from Kafanchan, specifically in the College of Education. That crisis emanated because a preacher was preaching in the college, a Christian preacher, and then there was a reaction from the Muslim Students' Union there, and that crisis escalated to all of the parts of the state. That was 1987. Then there was the Zangon Kataf crisis in 1992. That Zangon Kataf crisis again happened in Zangon Kataf town. That is a local government, one of the 8 local governments in the Southern Senatorial District. And that was between the House of Fulani community there and the natives of the Kataf people in that region. So we know it as Zangon Kataf crisis, which actually is very popular. And then we continued to 2001 with the Sharia crisis, when Sharia was declared in Zamfara, by the then Governor Ahmed Yarima. The waves of that came over to Kaduna, and there was a major crisis in 2001. Then it had continued. But the recent crisis that we're talking about is different, for God's sake. These attacks that we are having, that they call Herdsmen Attacks, is different. And these attacks have their history also. The state that has suffered most of these attacks that I know is Plateau State. We started hearing of these attacks in Plateau, and Plateau is very close to Southern Kaduna, mind you. And it went from village to village to village. And how is the modus operandi of these attacks? A village is sleeping at night. By 12 a.m. or 1 a.m., a group of people are not sleeping. They are planning how to attack the village. And they go and fire their gunshots in the night, and people wake up and they set their houses ablaze, and as they are running, dragging their children running, trying to run from danger. They will be gunning them down and hacking them with machetes. And you wake up and find out that the casualty is only in the hundreds. It happened village after village after village. The popular one in Plateau was the one in Dogonahawa that happened in 2012. But by and by, these attacks came over to southern Kaduna. And it started in Zangon-Kata local government, and it went over to Kaura local government in Atakar, which is a border between Plateau and Kaduna state. Village after village after village were being sacked in that same manner. And up to the one we're talking about today, the one that happened recently on the eve of Christmas, which was a town that was attacked. The town is named Goska. And while they were preparing for Christmas, those same people came and attacked the village and sacked the village and killed many people. Now, that is commonplace, that is common knowledge to everybody. But what matters to me is the various narratives that we've had. When these night attacks, I call them, started, the narrative was that, oh, unidentified gunmen. They started, we have had such attacks in Plateau, in Taraba, in Adamawa, in Nasarawa, in Plateau, Agatu particularly, and all the Tips areas. And they have even gone over to Enugu. And yesterday I even read that they killed some people in Delta, the same pattern. Now what is the narrative? They said unidentified gunmen. Unidentified gunmen, then they moved to saying, oh, it is a clash between farmers and cattle rearers. And they will say reprisal attacks. And all these various narratives. But I want to say one thing. All these narratives are conspiracy theories. They have the same agenda. The sponsors of these attacks have the same agenda with the Boko Haram agenda. Boko Haram and these Herdsmen attacks are two sides of the same coin. They are two heads of the same deadly snakes. And what is the agenda? While Boko Haram on one side is aspiring, has the inordinate ambition of establishing an Islamic caliphate where Sharia is the supreme law and everybody is under Sharia, not under the constitution. The Herdsmen attacks is a continuation of the jihad of 1804 started by Usman Danfodio, which was ethno-religious cleansing, taking over of ancestral lands of people that are believed to be infidels, the ethnic nationalities that are believed to be unbelievers. And that is the continuation that is happening today. It's an entrenched agenda. All these narratives are just to hide, put the thing in a capsule, and then continue. But can't anybody see? Come on. You look at the pattern of attacks. It's the same thing. But they will say, oh, cattle rustlers. We're looking for our cattle. Which cattle are being looked for from Plateau, Taraba, Adamawa, Nasarawa, up to this very day is the same pattern.
Honorable Asake, let me squeeze in a question at this point. Now, we know that there have been measures taken by the Kaduna state government to reduce these attacks or put a stop to these attacks. We're talking about curfew, we're talking about arrests being made, as well as security operatives being in different parts of the troubled areas to make sure these attacks don't occur again. How successful have these measures been, and what are the outcomes of the investigations, various investigations carried out, and the people arrested?
Well, I would not be able to tell how successful because I'm not in government. I'm not a governor. I'm not a traditional ruler. I'm just an indigene of that place. But to the best of my knowledge, up to last night, attacks were still taking place. I was woken up in the night that an attack took place in Zutrum, in my own local government, Zangon Kataf. The day before yesterday, a man who had gone to church, a village head in Aso village, near Kagoma, Jamal local government, his name is Kennedy. He's a village head. And he had gone to church to mourn, wearing his black and black. And when he was coming back, he was gone down by the same herdsmen. So attacks are still going on. In a village in Kagoro, Kaura local government, on your way to Jos, 2 youth were killed, and then the day before yesterday again, 3 dead bodies were taken. So they are still killing. So I don't know how successful that has been. But one thing I know is that the governor is not sincere in what he is doing. Governor El-Rufai is actually not coordinating well. He is not really doing what he should do as a leader by his utterances. He is not speaking as a leader, and he is not helping matters.
Tell us about, I mean, you're a former member of the House of Representatives. Let me reel out just, you know, your credentials for a bit. Former Special Assistant, National Assembly Matters to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Director, Research and Strategy, Southern Kaduna Indigenous Progressive Forum. I mean, he talked about the political will to deal with these issues. At your level, who also has some political access, what have you done in terms of the resolution to this, whether at state or federal level, and what is the response like?
Well, we have done everything possible. Everything possible. Meaning, we've gone to the community level, we've had meetings, we've told the people. But you see, as a politician and as a community leader, you can only have a solution to a problem that is a friction between 2 parties. But in this case, like I told you, the history of crisis, which I actually differentiated from the present attacks that we are having, the crisis that is between 2 communities, maybe the Hausa Fulani community and the engineering community of the people of Southern Kaduna, that one you can broker peace between the 2, and which we have been doing all this while. But this one is an unprovoked attack, premeditated, planned and sponsored, that people are sleeping in the night, you don't know what you are doing. That is why when they made this attack, you ask the villagers, what have you done? They say they don't know. But you find a narrative coming from the local Fulanis that they are owning up that yes, they kill our cows, or they wrestle our cows, or we had a conflict, and they own up to it, and they even make press releases. But all that one is a smoke screen. The sponsors of this genocide know exactly what their agenda is all about. And so no matter the amount of dialogue, no matter the amount of going to take on our communities and talking to them, they are helpless in this situation because they have not attacked anybody. Whether you are the most peaceful community, I can count so many communities that were attacked, they have never had any quarrel with any local Fulani. The communities that were attacked in Kauru local government, they were just taken aback. They have never had any problem with the local Fulanis. 22 communities were attacked in Jamal local government. After the Ninte attacked, 22 communities. And what is very, very crucial in this matter is wherever these communities are attacked, like my colleague there in the studio has said, wherever these communities are attacked, then they ferry in the occupying forces, the occupying people to come and occupy. The Fulanis that you never know, you have never seen them, they are now coming to occupy the place. They take over the place, they begin their building, they chase the natives. And as I'm talking now, those that do the attack are not the local Fulanis that we know. I grew up knowing our local Fulanis as friends. We even stayed in the same house. We go to school together. But the ones that come to do the attack only use the pretext of having a crisis or a disagreement with a local Fulani. And then they come in the night and do the attack, and then recede back to a nearby bush. As I'm talking now, behind Pasakori, after Kagoro, if you are going to Gidanwaya, where the initial crisis took place, the attackers are still there in those hills, and the security people know about them. And I want to tell here that we are beginning to suspect that the Boko Haram terrorists that are living in Borno State are the ones that are gathering in those places. It's a very dangerous thing. And we have heard rumors of helicopters, a helicopter that always comes in the night and supplies some things in the deep of the night, would stay there for about an hour and go back. And then when these attacks are going on, the security people will tell you they have not received orders to go and attack them. A particular instance that I want to cite here. There is this town called Sonji in Kagoro. They were being attacked. And the youth came out with their little damn guns and machetes, and they saw the attackers advancing with their women and children. And they said, we the youth were ready to sacrifice, we'll go in and chase them. The military blocked them. And then seized their weapons of defense. And this is self-defense, this is survival. So what do we do? So if the government has the will, if the sponsors of this genocide will bear Nigeria, have Nigeria a future, then they should call them to order. Because what is going on is more than reach the eye. It's more than the narratives that we're hearing. It's more than cattle rustling that we've been hearing about. It's not. It is pure genocide, pure ethno-religious cleansing, pure land occupation, pure capture of territory. And we as minorities in this region, in the north, the United Nations Charter guarantees us our rights. Our land is our inheritance. This is our ancestral land. We have nowhere to go to. When you talk about the Fulani man, that is his cattle, that is his inheritance, that is his life. He comes from another country. We also, now do we begin to go and kill people in Kano because we are looking for land to farm? Even the grazing reserve that they are talking about today, we have been opposing it because we know it is a subtle attempt by government to take over land through legislature and give it to those same people, and then now make us second-class citizens, or completely assimilate us, or completely wipe out our way of life. Because when these grazing reserves are established, tomorrow you will find out that these places that have been taken over by government legislature, by government law, and given to some people that are doing purely their business, they will set up a community, and then they will start their schools. They will not just do grazing there. They will begin to build their businesses, other businesses. They will begin to farm and take over the communities. As I am talking today, let me tell you something. There is a grazing reserve that was established in the early 90s in our local government, my local government, Zangon Kataf. It's called Laduga. It was established basically for a grazing reserve. And what's a grazing reserve? It's to graze your cattle. But as I'm talking today, that Laduga, which had an initial landmark of 30,000 hectares, has been increased without anybody knowing to 70,000 hectares. And that land is taken over from the farmers without any compensation. And as today, as I'm talking, they are building mega structures in that place. It's no longer a grazing reserve. Big hospitals, big schools, road networks, better than what we find in the natives. And that is oppression. That is marginalization. That is subjugation. Let me tell you another thing. Southern Kaduna Senatorial District, out of the 3 senatorial districts that we have, many people may not know this. Out of the over 50 plus federal institutions that are in Kaduna State, none is in Southern Kaduna. The only institutions that we had were the ones that were established by the missionaries, the schools that gave us education. I went to LAA Primary School. That is why I can talk to you today. That is why I can talk to Nigerians. But today, back home, my younger ones don't have a school to go to because those schools were taken over and from the missionaries and bastardized and thrown away. And today, we are not given anything. Even the federal universities that were established by Goodluck Jonathan, the former president, the 12 federal universities. We have ABU in the northern part. We have the college, Federal Polytechnic in the northern part. We have the Federal College of Education in the northern part, College of Agri in the northern part, School of Aviation in the northern part, School of Leather Technology in the northern, and all those institutions. But they will not have the capacity to allow that school, even against our pleas, sending our chiefs to go and plead, let this federal university go to the southern part, because we don't have even one institution, none. And the people have just been struggling with their famine, and yet sleep is not allowed. The only thing that we are left with is this land, and this land is being taken away from us again. And people are given these narratives and are associating with these narratives. that it is clash. Let me tell you, the demonstration, the so-called demonstration they talk about, that took place before the Christmas time, that demonstration was not violent. That demonstration took place because the incessant killings, village after village, village after village, and the people over the time have gone into numbers, mostly women and children and the old people and the sick who cannot run because this attack took place in the night, had gone on unstopped. And the women were tired of losing their children, losing their husbands. The men were tired of losing their families. And they said, look, let us organize a peaceful protest so that the governor, the authorities in the state may listen. The authorities as the federal level may listen. After all, this is a constitutional provision. Under the fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, the basic essence of government, a democratic government, a constitutional government that we have, is the security and well-being of our people.
Hold the thought for us.
But I feel so disheartened, so frustrated.
All right,
so
hold on, Asake.
That a governor like Governor El-Rufai will sit in there and say that if anybody calls for self-defense, he is making a hate speech. It's a constitutional provision again.
Hold on. You've made that point.
We note the point. Guaranteed in the Constitution.
Honorable Asake.
Self-defense is a guaranteed right.
Please, hold on. Now, you talked about various issues. I mean, by the way, you have raised very, very serious allegations in saying that 2 times you mentioned the word sponsors of this crisis. That's on one hand. On the other hand, you talked about that even as we speak, there are villages and areas where the people have been sacked and that the herdsmen are there. Let's have you on good authority, because this is good information for the security operatives. We expect them to swing into action with this sheer level of information that is coming out on national and international media. Now, in trying to just forge ahead, and please quickly, tell us if you have said at your level you have tried variously to address this issue. So how do we forge ahead? How do we see a stop to the herdsmen menace?
I think this question should be thrown to the people that are in position of authority, because we have done, as community leaders, as law-abiding citizens, have been doing our very best. But he that has aspired into leadership position in any capacity, there are instruments of authority that are given, whether you are a lawmaker, whether you are a chairman of a local government, whether you are a governor or a president, there are instruments of authority that are given to you by the Constitution, and you have been empowered to use those instruments to safeguard people's life and ensure a peaceful coexistence. We have been doing our thing. Our pastors have been preaching peace in the churches, and our community leaders, our traditional rulers, and even a social cultural organization like the one I belong to, we sit out our people and we preach peace, we preach communal harmony. But how can you help it, like I've said earlier, when you have done all this and in the night, when you are not expecting, when you are not suspecting, and then somebody comes in, he has not told you a sin so that you can even say, I'm sorry. And then he comes in, fires a gun, and the women are running, and they begin to hack down. The difference between a child and an old person is not known. They hack down anything that is alive and burn the grain reserves of these farmers. As I'm talking now, the number of IDPs we have in southern Kaduna, the number of IDPs we have in the plateau, the number of IDPs we have all over these areas that we have had attacks in Benue and the rest, the number of IDPs is overwhelming. But the difference is that in our areas, there is this safe pride that you don't go and stay in an IDP. So if a community is attacked today, they move to the next community and stay with them. And you can see a man that ordinarily has 3 children to cater with, now has 27 families to cater for. And then the food supply is not there. And only these non-governmental organizations is coming with food aids. As I'm talking today, how many government agencies have taken food aids to our people that have been displaced in their land? And you say I made allegation. No, it is not allegation. When I talk about sponsors, there is nobody that will carry AK-47 might have a force like the one that will be doing this level of destruction and it's not sponsored. There must be somebody behind it. Even if you are contesting for to be the head of a small group, there must be a sponsor. So there are sponsors of this. And like I said, the herdsmen, that they so-called herdsmen, but they are terrorists.
All right,
terrorists that have been that are coming to attack our place, and they are still there in the bushes.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Jonathan Asake. We leave it at that, and appreciate you for your time this morning and having joined us from our Abuja studio. We understand the passion around that subject matter for you, of course, knowing what you say you have seen happen in your community and those around you. Thank you so much, Honorable Jonathan Asake, former member of the House of Representatives, as well as the Director of Research and Strategy, Southern Kaduna Indigenous Progressive Forum, for joining us from our Abuja studio.